If there's one thing Despicable Me and Minions movies do, it's making us laugh a lot.
Thank you.
But did you know that Despicable Me 4 is the movie in the franchise with the most references to other famous movies? Spider-Man. You might not know, but before the latest Spider-Man movies, the most famous Marvel hero had 2 other movie franchises, and one of the hero's best movies inspired one of the funniest scenes in the 4th Gru family movie. This happened in the scene where Mega Minion Tim needed to stop a train that was speeding. However, after he manages to stop it, since his superpower is elasticity, the train ends up bouncing back and derailing while he sneaks away. So it's not the first time this scene was done, because in Spider-Man 2, released 20 years ago, we see Peter Parker stopping a speeding train in the same way Tim did, but using his webs. Except, in the superhero movie, the train didn't bounce back and crash, much better that way. Surely this is a reference that would make Stan Lee, the founder of Marvel, very happy if he were still alive. But this was just one of the movie references we found in Despicable Me 4, Justice League. And if there was a tribute to Marvel's greatest superhero, of course there would be a tribute to its biggest rival too, DC Comics. Because let's face it, the greatest group of heroes on Earth is definitely the Justice League, and the group had a cartoon that became very popular starting in 2001 when it was released. One of the most memorable things for those who watched the series is certainly its amazing opening with the heroes walking in slow motion to the sound of an awesome guitar solo. What many people don't know is that when the Mega Minions are walking through downtown, it is exactly a reference to the scenes where the greatest group of comic book and animated series heroes does the same.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Mega Minions!
James Bond. The first scene of Despicable Me is pretty cool and shows Gru presenting a beautiful car while doing some very cool maneuvers on the way to the supervillain school. And these scenes of our favorite villain and his luxury sports car are not in the movie by chance. They were meticulously calculated to resemble the driving and chase scenes of the greatest secret agent in the world, 007. After all, James Bond movies are known for featuring some of the most incredible and technologically advanced cars in cinema history. That's why this reference fits so well. After all, Gru is also a secret agent now. Harry Potter. Right at the beginning of Despicable Me 4, we see Gru returning to his old school, and the place gives us the impression that we know that institution, but we can't quite place it. However, as the movie progresses and we see Gru, Poppy, and the Minions needing to infiltrate the place, and they go there in a balloon, we get a better view of what the castle where the school is located looks like. At this moment, it's almost impossible not to recognize that the architecture of the place greatly resembles Hogwarts, the boarding school for wizards and witches, where almost the entire story of the Harry Potter saga takes place. Some people even think the castle looks like the Disney castle, but when we see the school from the inside, it becomes evident that it really has many similarities with the biggest spellcasting institution in the magical world of Harry Potter, which is really fun. I know you love to play, so check out this awesome Sonic toy for you to have fun with. Click the link in the first pinned comment and take it home. MIB. When Gru arrives at the LPB Villain School reunion, we see a small group of 3 minions arriving in a mini version of the same flashy car Gru drives, and when they park and flip the little car, they quickly change clothes and put on black suits. The detail here is, when they put on their sunglasses, which is a reference to the first Men in Black movies, or just MIB, where members of a secret organization tasked with protecting the world always put on their black glasses every time they were about to erase the memories of people outside the organization. Good times when the MIB movies were really cool. Terminator. When Gru and his family move to the city of Mayflower, they get new names and new jobs, with the dad becoming a solar panel salesman while Lucy becomes a hairdresser. The problem is that the AVL agent, despite being very excited to find out she's going to be a beauty professional in her new life, doesn't have the slightest aptitude for working in a beauty salon, and she ends up making a complete mess of one client's hair, leaving the woman almost completely bald. The detail here is that the woman ends up finding Lucy at the supermarket when she's with the girls, starting a wild chase through the aisles and shelves of the place. And at one point in the scene, we see that the character is so determined to get revenge on Lucy that she chases Gru's wife in the same way that T-1000, the villain robot from the iconic movie Terminator 2, does. And the reference is so real that even the same music from Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie is played during the supermarket chase scene. This helped to remind many older viewers of their childhood. Fantastic Four. When Mr. Ramsbottom decides to start the Mega Minions project, we see that each of the minions gains a different superpower and becomes a super agent of the AVL for missions that require powers like theirs. And one of the minions, which I think is the most eye-catching, is Mega Minion Jerry, with a stone appearance who comes out of his transformation capsule by biting his way out. In this case, Jerry is a clear reference to the character representing brute strength in one of the most famous superhero groups in the world of cinema, the Fantastic Four, more specifically the Thing, who is also completely made of stone, just like Jerry has become. Indeed, Despicable Me is filled with references to superhero movies. Joe's apartment. Just as Gru has hundreds of minions working for him, his enemy and arch-rival Maxime Le Mal also has a small army that obeys his orders and carries out his evil plans, only it's completely made up of an almost infinite number of cockroaches. However, we must say that this idea is not exactly original. In fact, it has already become a movie that was relatively successful in the 90s, called Joe's Apartment. In the film, a guy named Joe moves into an apartment in New York infested with thousands of cockroaches, but they can talk, sing, and dance, among many other things, and they end up becoming friends with Joe and even help the guy win the heart of the girl he's into. So in a way, they are his personal army of cockroaches. For this reason, we can say that Maxime's idea is a direct reference to this very funny comedy movie that maybe your parents or grandparents remember well. If you really love cartoons, we have some incredible news for you. We've launched a new quiz channel. In it, we'll test our knowledge about our favorite cartoons and movies, like Bluey, Peppa Pig, and many others. It will be a journey full of challenges, laughter, and lots of fun with Wavy. Don't waste any time. Subscribe now at the link in the description, or point your camera at the QR code on the screen and start playing. I'll see you there. James Bond. When Gru first sees Poppy's pink treehouse, we notice that the whole place is filled with items that remind us of the villains we've met in previous movies, like posters, dolls, and other things, because the girl's dream is to study at the same school Gru attended in his teens, LPB. But anyone who knows a bit more about older cinema, when they saw the girl slowly turning in her floating chair with her cute white cat on her lap, automatically thought of the greatest villain in the most famous secret agent movie franchise, James Bond. That's because James Bond's archenemy, named Blofeld, who leads the Spectre organization, always had this same mannerism of appearing in the films with a white cat on his lap, subtly just like Poppy does in Despicable Me 4. Clearly referencing the character and great villain of 007, which fits perfectly with the fact that Gru is now also an agent hunting down villains. X-Men. When the Mega Minions go to the AVL cafeteria to meet several common minions there, Mel, who now has the power to emit laser beams through his red visor, decides it's a good idea to use it to heat the coffee inside one of his colleagues' mugs. But his beam is so strong that it goes through everything, including the entire planet Earth. As you might have guessed, the Mega version of Mel is completely inspired by one of the most important heroes in Professor Xavier's School for Mutants, Cyclops. But not just that, the fact that the minion can't control the laser beams his eyes emit is also a reference to the same thing that happens to the hero when he begins to develop his powers during his mutant youth. Alien. And to close our list, let's bring up a reference that actually happened in Despicable Me 2, but is definitely worth remembering and is a great reference to one of the greatest sci-fi movies that if you don't know, your parents and uncles surely do. In Gru's second movie, our favorite villain ends up in an unusual battle with El Macho's rooster, since he doesn't like the girl's dad at all. And in the middle of the fight, at a certain point, we see the rooster burst out of Gru's shirt, tearing the clothes and giving the ex-villain a huge scare. This scene is a clear reference to the horror scene from the 1979 movie Alien, where one of the monsters does the same thing to its victims, as they use the human body as a sort of incubator. Who would have thought Despicable Me would reference a horror movie, right? But I'm sure you, like me, had many good laughs watching Gru and the Minions. And since you've made it this far, we'll leave you a gift with 2 video options for you to watch and keep laughing. Just click on the one you want to see first and enjoy the next video with us. See you in a bit then!